Hi, I am Savaya, lecturer in physics, working in Vignan institutions. Previous to the continuous session, I am going to explain the Biot-Savart's law in moving charges and magnetism. The contents of this session are introduction, Biot-Savart's law, and one application, determination of the magnetic induction produced by the straight current carrying wire. Okay? In this session, I am going to explain Biot-Savart's law and magnetic induction produced by the straight current carrying wire. Right? So, in the beginning of the lesson itself, it is studied that whenever current is passing through the wire, it produces a magnetic field in the surroundings of the wire. Now, what is the direction of the magnetic field? What is the strength of the magnetic field? To study the direction of the magnetic field, three laws are proposed. They are the right hand thumb rule, Maxwell screw rule, and the Ampere's swimming rule. We studied the three rules in the previous session. To know the strength of the field produced by the wire, there are two laws. They are the Biot-Savart law and Ampere law. In this session, I am going to explain this Biot-Savart's law. Now, come to the Biot-Savart's law. Let us consider a current carrying conductor which carries a current I. The conductor is of any shape. In this conductor, let us consider a small element of length dl. A small element of length dl. Consider a point P which is at a distance of r from the given element. The point P is at a distance of r from the given element. Now, the Biot-Savart's law explains the calculation of the magnetic induction produced by the small element at that point P. To explain that magnetic induction, here we are going to consider the length vector. Actually, length is taken as a scalar quantity, but here the length is going to be taken as a vector quantity by drawing a tangent to the element. Now, this is the length vector dl bar, whose magnitude is equal to length of the element dl. Now, between this r bar and dl bar, let theta is the angle. Now, in terms of these quantities, the magnetic induction produced by the small element is explained by the Biot-Savart's law. According to the Biot-Savart's law, the magnetic field produced by the small element dB is directly proportional to the current in the element. It is directly proportional to the length of the element dl. It is also directly proportional to the sine of the angle theta between r bar and dl bar. And it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. It is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So, dB is directly proportional to the current in the element. It is directly proportional to the length of the element. It is directly proportional to sine theta and inversely proportional to distance square. So, mathematically we can write it as dB is proportional to I, proportional to length of the element dl, proportional to sine theta, and proportional to 1 by r square. By clubbing these four, we can write dB is directly proportional to I dl sine theta divided by r square. This proportionality can be eliminated by introducing a constant. From that we have dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl sine theta divided by r square. So, this one gives the strength of the magnetic field produced by the small current carrying element at a distance r from the given element. Okay? What is the strength of the magnetic field? That can be determined by this. What is the direction of the magnetic field? Already we have studied that in the previous session. Here, just let us see this figure on the screen. Let us assume that the current carrying conductor is held in your right hand palm. Let us open the thumb finger in the direction of the current in the conductor. Then the curling fingers gives the direction of the magnetic field. By applying that rule here, the current carrying conductor is assumed in your right hand. Open the thumb finger in the direction of the current and the curling fingers indicates the direction of the magnetic field. Here the curling fingers are into the board so that the direction of the magnetic field produced by the current carrying element is also perpendicular to the plane of the board and entering into the board, which can be represented by the encircled cross mark. Okay, this is the strength of the magnetic field and this is the direction of the magnetic field produced by the current carrying element. Now I am going to explain this mu naught by 4 pi. This mu naught by 4 pi is the proportionality constant value which is given by 10 to the power of minus 7 Tesla meter ampere inverse. 10 to the power of minus 7 Tesla meter ampere inverse. In this mu naught is the permeability of the free space or vacuum. Permeability of the free space or vacuum. In electrostatics, we studied one more quantity, that is the permittivity, that is represented by means of the epsilon naught. This is the mu naught, which is the permeability of the free space. Now we know that this dB is a vector quantity, so that I am going to express the magnetic induction value in terms of the vector form. For that, let us see the Biot-Savart's law in the vector form. To write down the Biot-Savart's law in the vector form, let us multiply the numerator and the denominator with R. Then it becomes dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl R sin theta divided by R cube. See, there is dl R sin theta. This dl is a vector, R is also a vector. That dl R sin theta can be represented as dl bar cross R bar. From that we can write it as dB bar is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl bar cross R bar, which is the vector form of the Biot-Savart's law. Okay, it gives the magnitude of the magnetic induction produced by the element, whereas this is the vector form of the magnetic induction. Now we are saying that dB is a vector quantity. What is its direction? The direction of the magnetic induction is always perpendicular to the plane containing both dl bar and R bar, what you studied in the vectors in your mathematics. And it can be decided by the right hand thumb rule. It can be decided by the right hand thumb rule. Suppose we want to determine the magnetic field produced by the entire wire, what we have to do? Here we studied the magnetic field produced by the small element. The magnetic field produced by the total wire can be determined by using the concept of the integration, that is B is equal to integral dB. Here we have to take the suitable limits for the integration. If suppose the given wire is locating between the limits x to y, then the limits of the integration are x to y. By choosing the proper limits for the integration, we can determine the magnetic field produced by the entire wire. Okay? Now, using this Biot-Savart's law, I am going to explain one application, that is the magnetic field produced by the wire of finite length. Magnetic field produced by the finite current carrying conductor. That means we have a current carrying conductor of finite length. Finite length. What is the magnetic field produced by that conductor? That is going to be calculated using the Biot-Savart's law. Okay? Now let us consider a straight conductor AC which is carrying a current I. AC is the straight conductor, it carries a current I. Now we want to determine the strength of the magnetic field produced by the wire at point P. Let us assume that the point P is located at a distance D. Remember, D is the perpendicular distance of the point from the given wire. Now here the point A and the point C are elevated at point P at angles alpha and beta. Okay, the top end is making an angle alpha and the bottom end is making an angle beta at point P. Now to determine the magnetic field produced by this wire, I am going to first divide the entire wire into the small elements. In that small elements, let us consider one element whose length is dy. This is the one element whose length is very small, let it be dy, which is at a distance of y from the point O. Now let us assume that r is the distance of the point from the element. Let us assume that this is angle phi and this is angle theta. Here different angles are assumed in the diagram, so don't be confused. Now first of all I am going to calculate the magnetic induction produced by the small element. Then I am going to determine the magnetic field produced by the entire wire by using the concept of the integration. Already from the Biot-Savart's law, we have learnt that the magnetic field produced by the current carrying element is dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dy sin theta divided by r square y, because here the length of the element is equal to dy. Now in this equation, the length of the wire AC may be known. These angles alpha and beta are known and d value is known for us. But this theta is unknown for us, phi is unknown for us, r value is unknown for us when we are taking the entire wire. Why? Because this r value, theta value, phi value, y value all are related to the small element what we considered. That's why if we want to determine the magnetic field produced by the entire wire, we have to derive an equation in terms of the only known quantities. What are the known quantities for us? The current I is known for us. The angle made by the top end alpha is known for us. The angle made by the bottom end beta is known for us, and the perpendicular distance of the point D is known for us. In terms of the known quantities, we have to derive the equation. For that, I am going to find out this dy value, sin theta value, r square value in terms of the known quantities. For that, let us consider the triangle OPQ. Consider the triangle OPQ. From triangle OPQ, from the triangle OPQ, what is the relation between this theta and phi? This is the right angle triangle, this is 90 degrees, that's why theta plus phi is equal to 90 degrees. From this we can write theta is equal to 90 minus phi. Let it be equation number 1. After that, let us take tan phi value. What is tan phi? This is phi. Opposite side is y and adjacent side is d. That's why tan phi is equal to y by d. From this we can write y is equal to d tan phi. Now, by differentiating this equation, we have dy is equal to d secant square phi d phi. Why? Because differentiation of tan theta is equal to secant square theta, so that we have dy is equal to d secant square phi d phi. Now let us take secant phi from the same triangle. Secant phi. What is secant phi? Secant phi is nothing but hypotenuse divided by the adjacent side, that is equal to r by d. From this we can write r is equal to d secant phi, let it be equation number 3. So in equation number 1 I find out theta value, in equation number 2 I find out d theta value, and in equation number 3 I find out r value. Substitute these equations 1, 2, 3 in the equation of dB, we get it as dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I. What is the dy? dy is equal to d secant square phi d phi. D secant square phi d phi. And what is sin theta? Sin theta is equal to sin 90 minus phi whole divided by, what is r? R is equal to d secant phi, so that r square is equal to d square secant square phi. So the secant square phi cancels, and we have mu naught by 4 pi I. This d and square is also cancelled, I by d into sin 90 minus phi is equal to cos phi d phi. This is the dV value. dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by d cos phi d phi, let it be equation number 4. By using this equation, I am going to calculate the magnetic field produced by the entire wire. For that, what we have to do? We have to do the integration between the suitable limits. Here, what are the limits of the integration? So when the wire is dividing into the large number of the elements, for different elements, this phi value is different. If we consider the topmost element, the angle phi value is equal to alpha, whereas if we consider the bottommost element, the angle is equal to beta. That's why we have to make the integration between the suitable limits alpha and beta. But see one more important point. Here, this alpha is taking in the clockwise direction, whereas this beta is taking in the anti-clockwise direction. So that alpha has to be taken with the positive sign and beta has to be taken with the negative sign while taking the limits of the integration. So that the magnetic induction produced by the entire wire is given by B is equal to integral dB between the limits minus beta and alpha. So this is equal to integral minus beta to alpha mu naught by 4 pi I by d cos phi d phi. So mu naught by 4 pi I by d are constants. Take it outside the integration, then it becomes mu naught I by 4 pi d into integral minus beta to alpha cos phi d phi. This is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi d into sin phi between the limits minus beta to alpha. By substituting the limits, it becomes mu naught I by 4 pi d sin alpha minus sin minus beta. We know that sin of minus beta is equal to minus sin beta, minus minus cancels, and we have b is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d sin alpha plus sin beta, which is the expression for the magnetic induction produced by the straight wire of finite length. So in this case, the elevated angles alpha and beta are given. By knowing this alpha and beta values, the magnetic induction can be produced by this equation. Sometimes, while giving the problem, instead of giving these two angles alpha and beta, these two angles may be given. If suppose this is angle phi 1 and this is angle phi 2, now this alpha is equal to 90 minus phi 1 and beta is equal to 90 minus phi 2. By substituting alpha and beta values, the equation becomes b is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d into cos phi 1 plus cos phi 2. That's why sometimes we use sine terms, sometimes we use cos terms while solving the problems. It depends upon the angles given in the problem. If these two angles are given, we have to use the sine form. If these two angles are given, we have to use the cos form of the equation. So this equation is a very, very important equation for us for the determination of the magnetic induction produced by the finite wire. So in the problems, different shapes are given. Triangle shape may be given, square shape may be given, polygon shape may be given. In the different shapes, the sides are made up of current carrying wires. Due to all that sides, we want to determine the magnetic field produced by that combination of the wires. In such cases, we have to use this formula for the calculation of the magnetic induction produced by the straight wire. Now let us see some cases related to the current carrying conductor. Here we derived the equation for the finite conductor. Sometimes the conductor may be having larger lengths, that is infinity lengths. In such cases, what we have to do, what modifications we have to done for that equation. In that case, suppose in case of the finite conductor, we derived the equation, that is dB is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi d sin alpha plus sin beta. If suppose this is the case where the wire is having infinite length, so this is up to infinity, this is up to minus infinity. For this infinite wire, what equation we have to consider for the calculation of the magnetic induction? See, if suppose the length of the element is less, this angle is also less. As the length of the wire is increasing, the angle alpha value and the angle beta values are also increasing. Because this is a wire of infinite length, the angle made by that infinite point at point P given by alpha is equal to 90 degrees and this beta is also equal to 90 degrees. So for the infinite conductor, the infinite point is located far away. That's why the angle of the elevation is equal to 90 degrees at point P by the top end and also by the bottom end. So that alpha is equal to 90 degrees, beta is equal to 90 degrees. By substituting alpha is equal to 90 and beta is equal to 90 degrees in that equation, we have sin 90 is equal to 1, again sin 90 is equal to 1, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That's why the equation becomes dB is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi d. Actually this is the field produced by the wire B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi d sin alpha plus sin beta. Similarly here also B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi d. This is for the infinite conductor. Sometimes we have a semi-infinite conductor like this. Here see, the top end is at infinite distance, whereas the point P is nearer to the bottom end of the infinite wire. So this case is called as the semi-infinite conductor. In case of the semi-infinite conductor, what we have to do? See, the topmost point is at infinity distance. That's why the angle of the elevation of the topmost point alpha is equal to 90 degrees. Whereas the bottom end is perpendicular to the point P. That's why this angle beta is equal to 0 degrees. By substituting alpha is equal to 90 degrees and beta is equal to 0 degrees, in that equation we have B is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. Okay, this is for the finite conductor. This is for the infinite conductor. That means the topmost point is at infinite distance and the bottommost point is also at infinite distance. Then the formula is B is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi d. Whereas this is the topmost point is at infinite distance, whereas the bottommost point is nearer to the bottom end of the wire. In that case, the formula is B is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d. Now see the another case along the axis of the conductor. If suppose the point P is located at d distance along the axis of the conductor, then what happens? Whenever the point is located along the axis of the conductor, the perpendicular distance of the point d is equal to 0. If d is equal to 0, the magnetic induction is also equal to 0 for this case. Now come to the another case where we have a finite wire but the point P is located like this. In this case, what we have to do? D is given, but D is not the perpendicular distance. That to this point is not exactly located perpendicular to the bottom end. It is located somewhere below the bottom end of the wire. In this case, what we have to do? Suppose this is elevated at this point P by making some angle. Now let us extend the wire and draw a perpendicular line like this. Now this is the perpendicular line. Now with this perpendicular line, what angle the topmost point is making, that is taken as alpha. Whereas what angle the bottommost point is making, that is taken as beta. And then we have to solve the problem by using the formula B is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi d sin alpha plus sin beta. Generally, we think that by knowing the alpha value and beta value, we can find out the B value by using this equation. So this may give wrong results. Why? Because whenever we are deriving the magnetic induction produced by the finite conductor in the previous case, here alpha is taken in the clockwise direction and beta is taken in the anti-clockwise direction. But here alpha is measured in the clockwise direction, beta is also measured in the clockwise direction. That's why if we use this concept, you may get the wrong results. In this case, we have to consider this alpha value in the clockwise direction and we have to consider the beta value in the anti-clockwise direction, and by taking this angle as beta and by substituting this beta value in this equation, we can determine the strength of the magnetic field produced by the current carrying conductor in such cases. Okay, so in case of the finite conductors, alpha value must be measured in the clockwise direction and beta value must be measured in the anti-clockwise direction. By substituting that values in that equations, we can determine the magnetic induction produced by the finite wires or infinite wires. Okay, I think you understand the concept of the Biot-Savart's law and the different cases related to the finite and infinite current carrying conductors. Thank you one and all.